Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time. So as always, thank you to Lurks, our feral predator of Surain.
So, we've hit our 69th episode, which I think is pretty nice.
Nice.
Too bad.
Nice. Oh.
That's okay. It's nice. I'll just keep that. Unfortunately, our 69th episode will not be airing on April 20th, but there is no such thing as a perfect world. Let's be honest with ourselves. This is a podcast that's so depraved and rotten that there's really no topic that could do the magical number justice. Instead, we're just going to return to one of our favorite topics, which is casual queerness in the Wheel of Time. And this episode, we're talking about Season 2 specifically.
Yeah.
Yay.
We're back to talking about Season 2 of Wheel of Time. Like, I think we lasted like 3 episodes without talking about the Season 2.
Yeah, it did not take us long. It did not take us long. We're like, yeah, we're going to take a break from, I think, doing Season 2, like talking about Season 2, and like 3 episodes later, we're right back at it again.
Because can't trust gays to keep to their word.
In one of our recent episodes when we were doing Queering the Forsaken, when we were talking about Landfear and some of the comment about how they were trying to, like they had the drag scale. And I remember, so when I was doing the post-production, I noticed that James was saying it could have been appropriative if the show wasn't that gay. And I think it's a good question to start this discussion with, is that we keep saying that the show is so gay. But at the same time, it's not a gay show. It's not a show that is specifically for gay people. It's still a mainstream show. So for you, what do you think makes this show so gay?
It's like, so for me, it's like they do things without even trying. Like it feels kind of effortless, where like it doesn't even feel, it's like a non-thing, which is what makes it great. Like there's not even kind of like, it doesn't seem like they're making an effort to put queerness in. It just kind of happens naturally. And I think that's what happens when you have a super diverse like writing cast and like producers and like people like, all kinds of diversity. I think that just kind of naturally flows out that way. And so it just seems kind of like it, I don't know. It's just, I don't know how else to say it, except it's just a vibe. It's just a vibe that you get. Yeah.
Yeah. I had some notes on that. I was like, so what I wrote down was basically like, we had a moment in season 1 where Rand is like, if I wanted a man, I could do better than Matt. And we were like, okay, so this is going to be that kind of show in a good way. And they established that this was going to be a queer normative show through that. And they haven't really said anything about it since. Like they don't, it's sort of hard to like put into words because, you know, in our world, like with Heartstopper, you have Nick coming out to his mom and she's accepting because for her, it's perfectly normal and there's no reason for her to feel bad about it, which is great. But in the Wheel of Time, telling someone like, oh, I'm attracted only to men feels like me going up to Kat and Camille and saying, I have something to tell you. My favorite color is green. And you'd be like, okay, that's cool. Why is this something that you're telling? I mean, I'm glad.
Yeah.
So like it's valid and it's something that we see, but it's not something that is a focal point, and it's not something that has a name, because something that is so integrated into this world doesn't necessarily need a name.
It's a non-issue, basically.
Yeah.
It's like anyone we've seen so far could be gay or not, or probably they not labeling themselves. They just like have a partner at some point or don't, or like look at specific thing into people. And sometimes it can be looking specifically at women or at men. But it's like, yeah, there's very much a lack of a no homo vibe where you have to remind people that no, this character is very straight.
Yeah.
There's not that. Like, there's no straight characters. There's no gay characters. There's characters.
That's exactly it. Like, and
there's just characters.
Exactly what you said, Camille. And I think I wrote it in the doc too. Like, if any of the characters at any point, like on the show, if any of the characters expressed interest in someone of a different gender than what we've seen them interested in as like up until this point, it would not surprise me. I wouldn't even blink at it. Like, it wouldn't. It's, and like we kind of joke about like in the books, especially, Nynaeve is very straight. Like, she is like the token straight character. She is straight. In the show, though, it would not surprise me.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, even though like, and the only thing I like that's stopping that right now is because she's very much into Lan. But that's the thing. Like, you know, I would have no problem believing that if someone else came along that fit Nynaeve's vibe, Nynaeve would be like, oh, okay, cool.
We're doing that too.
This is, you know.
So this is why I don't. So in our world, we consider Nynaeve and Lan to be a heterosexual relationship. In that world, it's just a relationship. There's nothing remarkable about it. And I actually rewatched, and yes, I know that I have a reputation for being a little hot on Rand, but I rewatched the scene where he's like, if I wanted a man, I could do better than Matt. Because I wanted to like see, I don't want, like, I'm not saying this to like tell the producers, hey, make Rand bisexual, but like I re-listened to the delivery of that line, and it's hard to tell if he's saying, if I wanted a woman, which I don't because I'm not interested in women, I could do better than Matt. Or is it, if I wanted a woman, which I don't right now, or if I wanted a man, which I don't right now, but maybe I will.
Yeah, you've been saying woman, but it's...
Sorry. I mixed it up with the first one, but you see what I'm saying? It's like...
Man and woman, what's the difference anyway?
What's the difference?
Is Rand like only into women, or is he just not in the mood for a man right now? And it doesn't matter because it's just so casual.
That's the beauty of it. It's that it doesn't matter. It truly does not matter. They have managed to, like, surprise, surprise, they've managed to create a world where just like people just are, and they exist, and they are complex, and they have different things that are driving them, and they fall in love with different people for varying reasons, and it just is, which is, ideally, this is how we should exist. Like, just in general, that's how we should exist. Alas, that is not how our world exists, but I find it really, really heartwarming and optimistic that they've managed to create a show, like a world that exists like this. It's exciting, especially that it's a fantasy show, which is like historically been very
conservative,
very conservative
on a lot of issues,
very heterosexual, very much so. And so it's great seeing this, where it's just, you know, and once again, this is what happens when you make an effort to have not only a super diverse cast, but also a super diverse crew. That's that's what happens.
The change comes from behind the camera, in front of the camera, in the writer room, in the in the higher exec people, and it's and it's nice because the thing is that when you're writing or like when you're producing something, even if you're writing a new world, you're still very much inspired or influenced by your own experience and your own world. And I mean, any queer person in this world have experienced homophobia and related. So I'm just amazed that despite that, they got, like, with the diversity of the room and with the diversity of the crews, they are able to create a world that doesn't have that, and that feels very natural, and there's nothing forced about it. It's just happening, and they're doing a very good job with that. And I'm really appreciative.
I think the best fantasy that I've read, and this is regardless of like the identity of the writer, because the best fantasy shares this across identities, is that fantasy imagines what humans could be. It imagines what society could be. And I don't want to talk down on certain writers or certain series, but there are a lot of fantasy series, both TV, movies, and books, where it's just sort of the same old, and oh, here's a person who's not white because it's a diverse world, so we'll have one. But then you have Tolkien, who envisioned a world that wasn't like ours, and that was the first thing. And then you have Ursula K. Le Guin, who envisioned a world where people could change gender and where society is more communist than it is capitalist. You have Robert Jordan imagining a world where women can hold just as much, if not more, power than men. And then you have N.K. Jemisin with The Broken Earth, and like envisioning, I don't want to say like a race neutral, but you know what I'm saying? Like these worlds imagine and they push humanity to different and to newer heights instead of just retreading old ground. And that's why I think that the show is doing so well at that, because it is doing to the Wheel of Time books what the Wheel of Time books did to older fantasy. It's pushing it in a direction and seeing like what can we as humans be when we don't constrict ourselves to these labels and this stuff. And that's the result. And this obviously is why it's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah. It's like, and I'm gonna try it because I was getting emotional just listening to you say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm a little No, don't be sorry. It's a good thing.
Oh.
I'm a little hormonal right now, so I apologize. I'm probably gonna be like, oh my god. But this is like season 1, fantastic, love it. Season 2 is everything or close to everything that I've ever wanted fantasy to be. And like I say that genuinely. I'm not just saying that like, like this is exactly how I want my fantasy to be, where like it's just naturally inclusive.
Right.
And it's not like it doesn't inflict trauma on you or on its characters just for the hell of it, just because it's historically accurate, or just because, like this is what it's, which like historically it's fantasy.
I know.
You can literally, like you said, you can create whatever you want. Why would you choose to create a world where things are still fucking terrible for your characters? And that's not to say that terrible things can't happen to your characters, but like,
right,
terrible thing happened to our characters.
Yes,
because you need conflict.
Characters went through hell, like things, but it didn't feel like. And just to bring it back to like specifically queerness, any of the difficult things that the characters went through this season, it was not tied in any way to their queerness. It had nothing to do with it. It was for completely different things, which is like, I mean, it sounds so rudimentary. It sounds so like just bare minimum, but this doesn't happen all the time. In fact, I would argue it rarely happens with queer people.
It very rarely happens.
In not just in fantasy, just across different genres, it very rarely happens where their queerness is not the base of their suffering. And I have no words on how happy it makes me to see a show that's doing it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I get that we need shows and books still that like, especially for kids growing up, that portray queer characters saying, oh, this is me, and like they find a name for their identity, and like, this is me, this finally fits, this finally feels right, because that's the framework in which our world operates. So we still need those stories. But when it's fantasy, the whole, like, it's not even the whole world is before you, it's anything that you could possibly imagine is before you. So push for a society where, like we said, like, if any character in the Wheel of Time suddenly expressed interest in a character who was not of the gender of their previous or current partner, nobody would blink an eye. That's the kind of world that we can envision. And it's amazing. And, we need both of these kinds of stories. We need casual queerness, and we need stories that are, set in our world, because that's unfortunately the world we operate in. Not unfortunate that we need those stories, but it's unfortunate that the system requires that we have to have those stories to save kids from, feeling alone. Yeah. Like a lot of us did.
Yeah.
And something that I really like about the Wheel of Time is that technically it's not explicit in the show, it's suggested in the books, but technically the Wheel of Time happens many millenniums after us. Thousands and thousands of years after our current time. Yep. And they've been through quite a few apocalyptic events.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I mean, there's been TV shows about post-apocalyptic worlds, and there's often this tendency to go back to, oh, we're in a shit situation, so we're gonna get a lot more racist, a lot more sexist, a lot more homophobic, because we are going back to our bases, basically. And it's nice to see that not going that way.
It is.
I mean, I know it's not always like that in apocalyptic events, like apocalyptic things, but it's in what we've seen in TV. I don't know.
In enough of them.
Enough of them. Like, I don't know, Walking Dead wasn't that...
Walking Dead.
Oh, God. I had so many hopes for you.
The source of so many sleepless nights for me.
I don't want to get like super philosophical here, but like, so it's like, it's this
philosophical. What?
I try. I know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you going to bring Nietzsche?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to bring Nietzsche into it.
Okay.
But like we have stories like where society breaks down, like post-apocalyptic stuff, and a lot of it's like grim, like it's every person for themselves, and like no doubt that would happen in a lot of situations. But to me, the fact that we started from scratch and we built society tells me that we are naturally built to come together and build societies. So despite my grumpy nature, I have a fundamentally despite wars and despite genocides and racism and hate, I do have a fundamentally optimistic sense and outlook on humanity, because the fact that we are here talking on this podcast right now and not fighting each other over like a piece of meat over an open fire proves that we have a drive to build community, and that's hardwired into us. So that's another part of the Wheel of Time that I think accurately portrays what a post-apocalypse humanity would look like. A new civilization, a new turning of the wheel. Turning of the wheel.
Hey.
Yeah, sorry.
Well done.
Why are you sorry? You said something great.
I don't know. I'm in a mood this week where I feel like everything I say and do is a problem for people, and that I'm like, nobody wants to hear me, nobody wants to see me.
I get it. I get it. It's that you are not alone there.
It's tough.
Oh boy.
Do we want maybe to go through some of the example of casual queerness we've noticed this second season?
Yeah.
Who wants to start?
Well, it depends. Is there one that we really want to start with? Is there a bigger one that we want to leave till the end, or?
I can start with one of James's points.
Okay. Yeah.
Since they're not here.
Yes, by the way, James couldn't join us today.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, James is not here.
We do this every time one of us is missing, consistently. Like, there it is, about 20 minutes into the podcast. We're like, oh shit, yeah, we need to talk. James is not here.
We love you, James.
Please feel better, James. We love you, James.
Feel better.
We miss you. God.
We missed you and love you. So I'll just read from James's. Oh my God, James. Maureen, as always, is sad lesbian personified. That's not the point that I wanted to make. But that is true.
But we can start with that.
It's accurate. It's true.
But the point that I think the good opening point is James said, we opened this season pretty strong with a threesome between Alana, Maxim, and Yvonne, but there didn't seem to be much casual queerness between them beyond that. Well, unless you count Lan refusing to gay bash them.
So I get where they're coming from, but I also kind of disagree. Because in the, especially compared to the first season, where there were, Alana, Maxim, and Yvonne were very much minor side characters. Alana had a bit more of a role, but you didn't really see the three of them interact out together, except for, one fight in episode 4. In season 2, yes, you have this threesome at the beginning, but you also have the three of them talking to Sheriam, and you see it's there's no weird power imbalance between Alana and her warders. The opinion of her warders matters a lot and have as much value in this trouble than the word of Alana. So you see this interaction, you see them in Alana's family, which was delightful.
Oh my God.
I know. So that's also why I was sad when some people kind of found those moments in Alana's family slow, because I was just so happy to see.
It was so lovely.
Warm hugs.
It's anytime. So anytime there's like a family scene with queer people, I think brace myself a little bit because I'm expecting that like at least one family member is going to say something snarky or like something snide or whatever, and there was none of it. In fact, the opposite of it. Like they were just like they were teasing and joking and just like you could tell there was so much love there. There was so much love there.
I don't remember the quote, but like something about where does the third man go?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was something like that.
It was so
Like, just
good.
so good. And you could tell a lot is just like, are you guys kidding me? Are you kidding me? I have someone new here. Please don't embarrass me in front of my new friend.
I loved it.
And you see the kids of the family playing with
Yeah.
Maxim and Even, and because there's also like, okay, like that's something stupid, but like in our society, there's such a big deal also about like queer people and kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Mm.
the far right
Mhm.
love to demonize us with respect to kids. And it's like, and no, they're just playing and it's fun and nobody cares and they're enjoying life and good for them, good for them.
It's so cute. It's so cute. Like, and that's the thing. Like, so, what level of spoilers are we? Are we full spoilers?
Maybe we should stick. I think so far we haven't done anything outside of the second season. So
We
should we
haven't.
maybe stick to that so that people who have only watched the show can also enjoy?
That's fair. So I will say this. I think this as a counterpoint to the people who are like, oh, this was so it was slow. I don't think it was really necessary. I think actually this was very necessary to see. I think it was important that we got a very good idea and very good feeling about the dynamics between Alana and Ivan and Maxim. Not only were they were, as Camille said, they were adorable. They were so cute. It was precious, but also it builds a very good foundation. I hate / love what the show is doing with them. I'll leave it at that. It's great. It's with a lot of characters. Like, you know, we love to see it, but also we're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, it was also nice to see because the books don't really give a personality to neither Ivan or Maxim, who's called Owen in the books.
I don't even remember them in the books, I'm gonna be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't have a personality.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the show, no, they are well-rounded characters, and Maxim and Ivan are also very different from one another. I loved that scene where they're all trying to meditate, and Maxim gets fidgety and has to leave.
Maxim is like, nope.
That boy has ADHD, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, absolutely he does. Absolutely he does. That's an ADHD boy right there.
And yeah, I'm happy with what they're doing. I'm glad that Lan did not bash Maxim and Ivan just to, I don't know, fight.
Just so that he could fight, so he could be the big sword man. What?
What do we need that?
Also, I'm so...
He already has a big sword, man.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm so glad that the actor said on Twitter, like, shame on you guys for wanting Lan to be... Like, shame on you. What are you doing? Come on. Is it really that important?
Taylor Napier is a gem.
Yeah, he's delightful.
It's precious.
He is such a gem.
Yeah. And we're not just saying this because, you know, in the hopes that
We want you on the show.
he's able to come on the podcast at some point. Just like genuinely, he's delightful.
Even if you can't come on the podcast, Taylor, if you're listening to this, we love you and you're awesome and you should come on the podcast.
Also, the line that Maxim says to Nynaeve, I think, where he was like, I fell in, what is it? Someone wrote it down. I did not write it down.
Oh, I have it.
Thank you.
What was it for you? I fell in love with a water, and you, I fell in love with an Aes Sedai.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's...
It's cute and pure.
It's just, it's so... Yeah, and like in those few, like just those few sentences, you immediately get the dynamics that are there. And like, it's just... I love it. It's great.
It also, and I'm not bringing this up for any point whatsoever, but it also establishes that poly relationships are a normalized thing in this series. Not that there's, you know, a reason for me to mention that, but you just,
Nope.
just a cool thing, just a cool little thing.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's like the only reason that, a character like Nynaeve wouldn't maybe be aware of it is like she comes from a very small town. And like,
Yeah.
When you come from a small town, you're not necessarily always exposed to the intricacies of life, which is fine. But like, she was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, she was not aware, but she didn't have an issue with it.
Not at all. She was like, oh, interesting.
This is what happens when there are no systemic barriers and societal prejudices, because like when a child, I'm not calling Nynaeve a child, but like if you take a child in a environment where they haven't been conditioned to hate and they say, oh, why are those two men holding hands? And the person parent says, oh, because they're in love with each other. And the kid's like, okay, whatever.
Yep.
Don't bother me any. And that's the way Nynaeve approaches it, because there's not that systematic barrier with the prejudice.
Exactly.
Doing the naughties.
Yeah, exactly. Who do we want to talk about next?
I don't think I had anything else on Alana, Maxim, and Ivan. I also liked their scene in Karen, like when they had the discussion about what they were supposed to do, and both of the water are arguing against Alana, so they end up winning the argument. I just love it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like a silent conversation.
Yeah,
I love their dynamic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like again, it goes to show that they are equals in this. It's not like Alana is not, she's not the one that wins in things.
Even if technically, like, even made fun of Lan for being butthurt about Moraine telling him that they were not equal. But at the same time, I liked how he explained it. I don't have the quote there, but it's really much, yeah, we are not equal because we don't have those powers that Sedai have, but that doesn't mean we are not important, because we are basically reminding them that they are not gods. And I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. God, they were so good this season. They were so delightful.
They were.
Do we? Oh, I mean, there was like this was a very small. This is not about Ivan and Maxim and them. There was a very small line that Elaine said. I think, Camille, you put it in your notes too.
It was in the third episode of the second season, after Egwene is crying because Nynaeve is apparently dead through the arches, and Elaine saying, in 3,000 years. I don't remember exactly whether it was 3,000 years or something else, because the quote I had kept deleting the numbers and I didn't check the episode. But like in 1,000 years, I would say there have been over 100 attempts to bring back a lost friend or lover. It never works. And since it's a white tower with only women in it, that means Aes Sedai being lovers is a completely natural thing. And that's actually something we got to see in episode 7 when we got this flashback between Moraine and Swan, because they're basically cute and happy and not hiding at all.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. And they would, if it weren't for their quest, that would still be them. They would still be like out in the open. It's it's the quest that's done it all. Which makes
You're laughing at my face.
So much sadder. Yeah. It's so much sadder.
I was a sad emoji face.
Yeah, you did do a sad emoji face.
I got distracted because, we should do Quiz of Time movie reviews. But anyways, when Camille said...
What is happening?
when Camille said a very natural thing, I'm like, that's the name of a 1974 movie about a gay man, and it ends with him finding love. It's like one of the first, maybe the very first movies about a gay relationships that's like meant for mainstream and that had like a happy ending. 1974. That's a lot earlier than you would expect. But yeah, sorry, Camille, that you set my brain gremlins off hunting for information about a movie.
It is so funny, the thing, like you get distracted and like you think of movies. If I get distracted, like I probably think of like Real Housewives or The Sims or something like that. Like that's what my brain gets distracted with. And so,
I easily get distracted when there's a question about an information that I used to know but don't remember, and I really want to look up the information.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that happens to me a lot.
I think we're all just easily distracted by shinies.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, For some of us, there's definitely some ADHD. I've been
Just a tad.
I will say
Just a tad.
it's hilarious to do the post-production of this podcast because the number of time one of us start a sentence, never finish it, or someone is going to talk and we're cutting them because we know where they're going. It's actually sometimes not absolutely where they're going, but it's still hilarious.
I know.
This podcast is...
This is what happens when you have like a podcast with 4 neurodivergent people just like trying to wrangle us together and collect the brain cells is a task.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the topic.
I mean, there we go.
Since I mentioned Maureen and Swan, do we want to talk a bit more about them?
Sad lesbians.
So much trauma.
They're basically the other main queer relationship.
Sad lesbians. Oh, they're sad lesbians.
I mean, I appreciate that the reason they have to keep their relationship a secret is because of the dynamics and trying to hold in the Dragon Reborn prophecy and the thing that they're trying to do. But the trauma.
It's sad, but
yes.
none of their conflict, like even their fight between the two of them, it's not about being hidden or this kind of thing. It's not about being gay. It's just because they're fighting for the safety of the world and they disagree on how to do that. But none of their conflict are directly related to them being gay.
Right.
Being gay, or at least being in a queer relationship, I would say.
Yeah.
We are very drawn to forbidden romance as a storytelling device, and it's so long it's been used as a device for like LGBT couples, queer couples, and that's fine. But can we really just have like a forbidden romance based on, oh, I tried to kill your father, and you are the Duke of this thing that's at war with my country. If anybody catches us, we'll die. Or, oh, you and I are the only ones who know about this prophecy about this this dumb himbo Ginger who's going to save the world or destroy it. And if anybody knows what we're doing, they're gonna be mad. Let's not be naughty. So we can't. Nobody can know about us. So on your knees in the fish fuck hut only, but not in public. So I don't know. My brain just went all out. I'm sorry.
No, that's the thing. Like it's so like. Sorry, I just thought about like. Swan's face when she saw Rand for the first time in the throne room, and just the disapproval, the immediate disapproval, and I just imagine her thinking, "This is the reason that I'm not in my cute little fish hut with my cute little fish wife.
Getting some puss.
This is why
6 months, huh?
Oh, can't believe I said that.
6 months not being laid for that dude.
Yes." For this? Are you kidding me?
I mean, he's kind of cute, but not this one, I guess.
I think that's it. I'm not disagreeing with you. Swan is disagreeing with you, Matt. I want to be clear.
I know. Well,
Swan does not approve.
Not even remotely. She was just instant disapproval.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Do you have more to say about Maureen and Swan, except that we love them?
No, it's just sad. We love them.
It's just sad emotions.
We want good things for them. I just want good things for them.
Just sad sapphic pining.
But you know what? That's a good thing about having a show that is so gay, is that we can handle some drama for some relationship and still see some positive queer moment outside of those relationships. Because so often you're gonna have a show with like one queer couple, and that's gonna be pretty much the token couple, unless it's a gay show, and then pretty much everyone is gay.
Yeah.
So it's like the Bechdel test. Like,
yeah.
If two women are having a conversation that doesn't have to do with a man, then the movie passes the Bechdel test. This is the possum test. If one queer couple can break up during the season of a TV show, and there's still at least one other gay couple on the show that's together, then it passes the possum test.
It passes the possum test.
And it is okay.
Well, there we go. Perfect.
I approve.
And I mean, we haven't even like I'm not going to get too spoilery, but there are things that we haven't even gotten to yet that we're still like that are still in the process of making their way onto the show, which is nice.
And I mean, and there's already indication of more queer characters, because we have also this quote with Avienda and Perrine, where Avienda is asking him whether he's married. And so I think the quote is, "This ring, it means you're owned by a Wetlander woman." Yes, in a way. And you can lie with no one else. Bane will be disappointed. Shad will not care.
Shad will not care. Yeah. Which is great.
That line already, it's not explicit, but it's like obviously queer.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of moments in this show that are not explicitly queer, but it's like, for a long time we were talking about queer coding. But when you put so much queer vibe everywhere, at which point the implicit becomes like obvious.
Yeah, it's not even queer coding anymore. It's just like, I don't know what the word is. It's just queer. It's just gay.
I had a bad thought. I had a painful thought.
Uh-oh.
The more queer people on the show means the more leeway they have to kill one or two off without a bury your gays trope being fulfilled. But I don't want any of them to die. I don't want anyone to die. I want everyone to be happy. And
listen, this is what they fought for at Stonewall. This is what people died for at Stonewall.
This is why Moraine threw the brick.
So that we could eventually have a show.
I mean,
that's why Moraine threw the brick.
We also need to remember that it's a Wheel of Time. It's not Game of Thrones. Wheel of Time is closer in vibe to Tolkien than to Game of Thrones, in the sense that, like Lord of the Rings, you get how many characters was there in the ring community? I don't know. Nine people, one died. It's like it was a pretty good ratio in a way of and like, I know that we've been seeing Game of Thrones a lot, and I know that death is a drama that series like to use, but at the same time it's lazy, yes, but we're in a time that happiness and positive thing is also very much needed in our society, I guess. And I would like my fantasy to be more optimistic than it was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I mean, it cannot be less optimistic than that.
Oh, I don't know that you can get. Well, maybe let's not touch that. Maybe
let's not do that. But like,
I can think of some ways Game of Thrones could have ended a lot bleaker.
Well, I mean,
but that's the horror writer for me.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you can always be bleaker, but it's I need some happy fantasy vibe, and not to say is that there's not going to be very complicated thing in the Wheel of Time. We got some, like in the season 2, the whole arc with Egwene was intense and traumatic, and still doesn't mean that people need to die for it to matter.
Right. I think,
and that's the thing, exactly.
Death is like, I like Game of Thrones for everything that it is. I like it. And it wouldn't be the same series without the grimdark and the anyone can die mentality. But I think The Walking Dead really exposed the flaw in that, is when you start the anyone could die and you use death as a plot device, it really exposes the flaws in your writing. And I see a lot of shows and books like using character deaths as a shorthand to like show, oh, there's stakes, but and I have become a little annoyed with Wheel of Time at times for going a little, kill happy, but never to a point where I'm like upset. But like, you have characters like Rima, Egwene. You see something happens to them that shows you that the stakes are very high, even if there is no death. Some of the I'm not going to go on a tangent, but like some of the best horror movies, no one dies. Like.
I mean, The Haunting of Hill House. There's some death at the beginning because that's basically how you start the whole story. But I mean, I haven't watched a lot of horror things because those things freaks me out. But it's still one of like it's not one of the best like horror TV show, and it's not like not a lot of people die. But it's intense, it's traumatic, it's well done, and you can do that without using death.
Yeah. A good writer or a good writer's room can create tension without the pall of death hanging over the characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it's like, now this character's trauma is not really at the same level as, say, Egwene, but seeing like Matt's journey in season 2, it's like he just took hit after hit after hit like emotionally, hit after hit after hit. And I'm just like, oh my God, they are not letting him breathe for a minute this season. Just like
No.
anytime he got comfortable and like on the verge of being like, okay, things are looking up, something came to bulldoze him over and just like, but it never got to a point where I was like, this is hopeless, because deep down I was like, he's gonna be fine. He'll be fine.
He's gonna do that blowjob.
Oh.
When he blows a horn and 5 minutes later,
Oh.
he stab Rand.
Oh.
Like,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
From like the highest of highs to the most devastating of lows. Oh my God, poor Matt. Like, I felt so bad for him.
That is like Shakespearean levels of tragic, cosmic screw you.
He tried so hard. Oh my God. It's just, but that's what makes it so good. Like, that's what, and I know we've surprised.
It's okay.
We've gone off topic of queerness, but it's fine. It's our podcast and we can do what we want.
I mean, from Matt, we can kind of come back to that because that's typically a character that does not have a single no homo vibe.
Like, the sex thing, murder thing.
So is it a sex thing or a murder thing? Is the obvious thing, but
right.
It's not just that, I feel, for him, because even when you look at his interaction with Min, where, I mean, I don't know about you, but a lot in media, when you have a man interacting with a woman, like if they interact a bit too much, it's going to be like, yes, they're going to be a sheep or this kind of thing. But like between the two of them, it's clear that it's not that, and it's not pushing her in any way. So it's like, it doesn't feel like the douche straight bros that doesn't understand a no.
Yeah. It feels like it's, you get kind of right off the bat that they are platonic. They are just like they're buddies. I would watch a buddy cop show with Min and Matt on like a fantastic adventure. And like you also don't get the vibe that he's like biding his time, that he's just like waiting for an opportunity to sort of, which you do much get that in other shows where like, a male character is just sort of like very obviously just waiting for the right moment. And oh, if I ask it this time, then, that's not at all the vibe that you get, which is very refreshing. It's really nice to see.
Yeah.
Especially in fantasy.
His buddy relationship with Min doesn't feel too far from like his buddy relationship he had with Ren in the first season. Like there's no difference because of gender. So even there, even in that situation, it feels queer because we're so used to our society putting everyone in boxes about gender and behaving differently between people depending on whether you're interacting with a woman or a man. And no, it feels like you don't have that.
Exactly.
And that's nice.
It's, I mean, like one of the most romantic, and I say quote unquote romantic scenes in the Wheel of Time in the second season is when Moiraine and Lan are reestablishing their bond. Like all of the cues that you would normally see in a romantic scene, like the swelling music, the beautiful visuals, that it's all there, but it's between two characters who very much do love each other, but in no way that is sexual. Like it is purely a platonic love, which is a beautiful thing between like a woman who has been established as queer and Lan. he's Lan.
He's just Lan.
We don't know, but he's just Lan, which is great.
His job is sword.
His job is sword, exactly.
They're the bestest of friends.
Yeah, the buddies.
So far, we haven't talked yet about the villain. And I feel like we need to spend a bit of time talking about them.
I know. Yeah, because
the sniff heard around the world.
Oh my God. The sniff heard around the world. That's a good episode title. The sniff heard around the world.
Ooh, I do like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we should talk about the villains, about the Forsaken, because once again, I'm so glad that they are making them as campy as possible. Which like it automatically, I think when you make especially villains for some reason, when you make them a certain level of campy, it is queer. Like it just is.
Oh yeah.
It just is.
It's kind of historical.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Regina Mills, Once Upon a Time.
In a sense that we've had plenty of examples in media of villains that are queer coded and campy.
Oh, yeah.
So
The Evil Queen in Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Ursula.
I mean,
Lana Parrilla. Oh my god.
look at like the majority of Disney, of like old school Disney villains, very much queer coded. Like they're just super campy. And yeah, it is a time honored tradition. And it is exciting to see that continue in Wheel of Time, in like a more in-depth and well-rounded way, I think.
Yeah, and it's nice because even if like so the queerness as a villain is kind of problematic in history because usually you only see the villain being queer coded. So I like it would be reasonable to feel a bit offended that we see that again in the Wheel of Time with the villain. But the rest of the show is so gay.
That's the thing.
That, yes, the villain are going to be queer too.
Yeah, of course they are.
Of course they are.
Yeah, that's what makes it great.
Yes, it's fine that Lanfear is basically ranked on a drag queen scale.
I love it. It's so good. I love it. When I read that when I read what Rafe said, I was like, that makes so much sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
That makes so much sense because every moment that this woman was on screen, like even when she's like at the beginning when she is Celine, she is putting on the performance of a lifetime. Like she just like the performance of a lifetime. It's so delightful to see, and just like, of course, the first time she reveals herself to Rand, it's in that outfit. Like, I mean, really, girl? Really?
And also, I'm sorry, but like when she's burning Corinne, she has a hand wave when she does that, and it's like, girl, are you like,
what are you doing?
You okay there?
Is it your show right now?
Yeah, this is her
this
show.
Is my show.
This is her. She hasn't had a good audience for a long time. She's having the time of her life.
She goes in the car and she's like, tonight is about me and nobody else. I'm going to blow your minds. Literally.
Literally, yeah. And then we have, like, on the other end of the camp spectrum, Shamael, who is, like, in very much a different way, but just as, like, extra as Lanfear is, where just, like, he's so tactile.
Yes.
So tactile. It's I was not expecting him to be as tactile as he was. Like, you kind of got a glimpse of that in season 1, but my God, they really went all in with it in season 2. Just like any chance he got to be around those boys, he just like
between the dream with Rand, between how he acts when he meets Perrin, between how he's basically cuddling Matt when Matt is having his like drug-related crisis
coming down from his trip.
It just like it kept getting gayer and gayer. Like with Perrin, it was flirting. With Rand, it was like, oh, we're about to have a one-night stand. With Matt, it was like caressing, like aftercare or something like that.
Yes, I was like, this man.
Just like he's getting gayer and gayer.
Yeah. It's so good.
Just like season 1 issue was fine. Season 2 issue was just.
Oh my God, he's a revelation. Like he is just. I'm so happy. Like it just made me so happy.
And the thing is that we're saying that as very queer because we're also not used to physical intimacy between men.
Yes.
So a character that is already campy like Ishii. Being so tactile, I don't know what to say. It's it feels very gay for us. But I don't know. I'm curious actually whether in a society where physical touch wasn't that taboo, especially between men, if that would be considered as particularly queer or not.
That's a good point.
But at the same time, maybe they don't ask themselves about queer.
Yeah. That's a good point.
We have intimacy between Lan and Stepan, between Lan and Yvonne and Maxim. We've got some male, like platonic male intimacy moments. I don't think there's a heterosexual explanation for what she's doing with them boys.
Like,
I don't think there is.
Just laying in the bed and stroking not Rand's face. What?
It's like,
That's
a little fruity.
It's the way he's looking at him too. He's looking at him like he's everything in the world to him.
It's like, I'm about to wreck this ginger so hard.
Like, what?
And this reminded me of like Dream Rand's look when he's basically watching Lanfear and Ishamel and they're looking at him too. It's like, so when is a threesome starting?
Yes, I was like,
Yosha was into that.
Is the threesome happening now? Because it certainly seems that way. I mean,
feel like the beginning of a porno.
Yeah, it really did. It really did.
Taming the How to Tame Your Dragon.
How to Tame Your Dragon. Perfect.
We also vaguely mentioned Moghedien Sniff. Do we have more to say about she had no reason to be that close to Lanfear? And
I mean, once again, we do have to reiterate, she had no reason to be that close to Lanfear, and she certainly had no reason to sniff her the way that she did.
It's like my note says there is no heterosexual explanation for Moghedien getting her sniffies on Lanfear. I don't blame her, but damn girl.
Her sniffies.
Her sniffies.
Her sniffies.
Anyways.
Because I cutesy up language to defy the patriarchy and the masculine hegemony that is expected of me.
Okay.
Sorry, it wasn't the connection. It was me not being able to say hegemony.
Oh, I know. You tripped yourself up there a little bit, huh?
Usually I'm the one doing that kind of thing, like tripping on words. And anything else to say about the Forsaken?
I don't think so. I'm excited to. Can we say names of other Forsaken that we're excited to see? Because they've said,
yes, they've said a few names. So
Grendel. I cannot wait to see Grendel on the show. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's gonna boost the ratings.
If this is what we're getting, it's oh my god. I'm so excited.
For mature audiences only.
Oh, yeah.
So because Lanfear in the book is the most beautiful woman, true. Ishamel doesn't really have a sexual vibe in the books. Grendel, it's like
Grendel is sex personified.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the horniness of the show once Grendel is gonna be here. It's gonna be
Grendel is only sexual. She is just sexual. There's nothing she is, and that's not to like limit her as a character because she is fascinating. She is a fascinating character. She's a fascinating villain. I can't wait till we get to see her on screen. But I can't stress enough how sexual this woman is, and it's fantastic. It's going to be so great.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I think one last character we could talk about is Leandrine, which we haven't mentioned yet.
Oh.
Because I don't know what to say about this woman. I
love her, but she's got some big LGB without the T vibes. She got some turf vibes. She's got some turfy.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
Like, I love you, girl, but
Leandrine's a turf.
Maybe.
It's a possibility.
At the same time, she hates men so much.
She does.
And for valid reason, I'm sorry to say, for probably valid reason, because if apparently she got married early, married when she was young, and it was a forced marriage, and she got a kid out of that, yeah, I get not liking men.
I just get vibes like they're in the tower and like there's a trans Aes Sedai and Leander's like, this is a woman's only space. I do not like men. You are not welcome in here. And just like, oh, come on, Leandrin.
Listen, she's dark. She's Black Aja. She's not demonic. Come on, Mad.
True. She is Black Aja, but she's not evil.
She's not evil. She's not a monster. Come on.
Right.
Come on.
She's not trashy. She's not trashy turf.
Yeah, I understand. Is there a non-trashy turf?
No, there is no such thing as a non-trashy turf. I'm just saying she's not a trashy turf. She's just a black Aja.
Yeah, she's just a black Asha.
I would like to think that Leandrin would not discriminate between trans and cis Aes Sedai when she's scheming against them.
Mhm.
So the thing is, when we're talking about turf, we're also very much in our society where there's a lot of misogyny and homophobia and transphobia.
Mhm.
And we've already been talking about how, the relationship between genders is very different in the shows than in our
Yeah.
world. The conversation about queerness is very different too, and the relationship to that and how people react to that. Same with polyamory. And I'm like, so far we haven't seen trans character that we know of, because
Right.
for all we know, maybe there's some characters that are just trans, but nobody care. So yeah, I'm curious whether it's gonna be a deal or whether it's gonna be a non-issue like everything else.
I have a suspicion it's going to end up being a non-issue. Like it's like I have because they've gone to such lengths to already have that be the case. That I would be surprised if that particularly was an issue. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't there? Oh no, that's Barbie. Never mind. I was like, isn't there a trans Aes Sedai already? But that was Barbie. There's a trans Barbie in the Marvel movie. Never mind.
I mean, Barbie and Wheel of Time are just so similar. They're almost identical.
It was for the record, it was Dr. Barbie.
Yes.
But there's been someone trans casted for the Wheel of Time, right? Yes, Rebecca Root as Lelaine, which is an Aes Sedai that shows up in season 3.
Yes. Yeah, which is awesome.
So I am very curious whether there's going to be any mention of that or not, or whether it's going to be another Rena situation since the actor Xelia is non-binary, and that didn't impact the show at all. So I'm curious.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. At this point, I have no reason to be concerned. I am quite optimistic of
same.
of what they're gonna do. Leandrin, I it might be a case with Leandrin where it's just so obvious that they're not even they're not saying anything about it, because it's just like, okay, this is obviously a queer woman. It's I don't know. I don't know. But
unrequited crush on Moraine.
She certainly seems that way to me. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, do we have anything else to talk about?
No.
I don't think so.
My map meter's running out too.
It was a good discussion.
It was very good.
Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode of The Queers of Time. We hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other example of casual queerness you notice in the show that we may have missed, feel free to let us know. Talk to us. Interact with us.
But nicely.
Come to our Discord.
Nicely.
It's a nice Discord. Anyway.
The most menacing way. Come to our Discord.
So yeah, we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We have a Discord. We have a Patreon if you want to support us. We have some nice benefits there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.